Johnny Fontana, Half Amazing TV, back with another video. Today is going to be a tutorial on how to layer Mainstage progressive tech house, right?
This is the vibe nowadays. I mean, guys like Avicii as well. You know, you have a couple of big tracks, and all of a sudden, you're on a festival's stadium. And this is funny. I was DJing after Alesso in Brazil about half a year ago, and he was nervous. It was a crowd of 50,000 people in front of him, and he came up to me and he's like, "Dude, I can't do this. I'm so nervous. Like, look at you. You're so chill. How can you cope?" And I was like, "Dude, I've been doing this for like 15 years, and you?" And he's like, "Oh, I've only been DJing for eight months now." And I feel it started with the Swedish house mafia, who were really good friends of mine, I must say, but I always reckoned they were more of producers than DJs. And it's funny because I saw them starting up, and within the years, they progressed as DJs because they got the experience. But their first couple of sets, and when I heard Axel play a couple of times, the first times I was like, oh my goodness, he doesn't even know this. You know, he makes awesome tracks, but what the hell is going on?
Before we get into that, I have a few minutes just that I want to explain something. Please don't fast forward. It's very important that I get this out. Number one, I want to say really thank you, right? I've been noticing some changes, right? People are commenting and appreciating the stuff that I talk about. You know, before these tutorials, I appreciate that, because before I was getting sort of like disheartened, you know, because everyone wanted technical. And I'm starting to see people are really understanding the importance, right, of the culture, and understanding the dynamic beyond the technical aspect of DJing, because everyone can do technical. If you are a DJ, you should be able to mix. That's entry level. What separates you is the knowledge. And that's what I want to get into. I say all this to say, right, that I have this identity crisis because there are very few people, very few DJs who can do what I can, who can be so involved in hip hop like I am, and so involved in electronic music, house specific. I have what you call an identity crisis. Okay? For me, I grew up in New York, and all things hip hop I was a part of, whether it be listening to the college radio stations, WKCR, 89.9, Mayhem Sunset, DJ Riz, Stretch and Bobito, Lord Sear, 89.9, WNYU, going to school with DJ Envy, like I've said before, DJ Mad, who was my mentor. I used to be at Club Drama, New Jersey, watching him play on Saturday nights on the up top while DJ Camilo was downstairs in the main stage. And I would just watch him play hip hop, party breaks, house, reggaeton, reggae, salsa, bachata, and go around the circle, right? We called it the box, being able to just go around like that. And he would be the first person to be like, hey, come up and watch. And I would just watch. And that's where booth riding began. Club Drama, New Jersey, right? So then I took that overseas in the 90s and the early 2000s to Europe. While I was also in love with house and Latin house, I took that and I became obsessed in Europe with the music and house, the defectors, the Ministry of Sounds, the head candies, all of that, right? And I was also, collecting vinyl there as well. I collect sneakers, I collect Jordans, I collect all kind of stuff that has to do with music. That's the same reason why I can have a conversation with Harry Romero online on Facebook and call out his boy Eric Murillo, because again, I'm all everywhere. And even to hip hop, I'm up with the interviews with the new guys, with what's going on in terms of the culture. When Eric Murillo puts out an interview and talks about his new artist, Juno Locke, his up and coming artist, Juno Locke, like Juno Locke, and I do my research and I see that's Dennis the Menace, who I actually interviewed in 2010, WMC, right? And he used to be the partner of Jerry Ropero. I have their vinyl. I have all their records, right? So now he decides he goes away. He comes back and he claims to be Juno Lark and screaming hashtag techno. Same as Big World, aka Marcus Binafs, did the same thing, and now he's Kaiser Sose. So when I went online, I asked, I said, is it possible to be a great electronic and hip hop DJ together? Not be great independently, but not just be a DJ who can mix music, but can you be great? Meaning, really rock a crowd in hip hop and know your music from the classics, for the new school, from the old stuff, from being able to know what to play, what's going to be the new thing. Same thing with electronic music, when to play, how to play during peak hour, during opening set, during outside, during the beach, during indoors, after hours, during it before like a really ethnic black crowd versus a hipster crowd versus a European crowd versus an American, college crowd. Do you know how to play these different sounds and really get to them? Because that's what DJing is all about. It's not about producing. And no one could answer, but they were like, "Oh, we don't need any gatekeepers here. This post is ridiculous. Why are you trying to tell people, what they can play?" Who I'm like, dude, I'm not. I'm just asking a simple question.
And my guess is it's very similar to the way I view the world in a spiritual terms. 80% of the world is asleep. They do not process reality beyond what's on the television. They don't want to. They really don't want to. How many times have you sat at a table with somebody and you brought up kind of a more sophisticated argument? Somebody in your family leans back and goes, I don't want to deal with that. Mm-hmm. That's just like, or what am I going to do? What am I going to do about the people over there killing each other? Not pure apathy. I don't think it's pure apathy. It's just like, it's a lack of empowerment. So if you live in your little bubble dream, well, and John Lennon spoke very eloquently about these types of things long before I did. So the other 20% is constantly up against this 80 that goes, I don't care what's on TV tonight. So that's the difficulty, and that will always be the difficulty.
You see what I'm saying to you? I just want to know, is there a possibility, right? Because it's very difficult, especially when you have hip-hop DJs who don't respect the electronic DJs. They say all they do is just they press play, they twiddle their EQs, and they put their hands in the air and they clap their hands. They don't give them the respect. And that's one of the reasons why I'm actually going to do this Mainstage Progressive Tech House tutorial, is to demonstrate that it's a different way of playing even inside of a club. And it requires a different level of patience and understanding of how to layer music. And it's different. It's not the same. And it's no disrespect to hip hop, but it's just not the same way of playing. And so I asked, can you be the same? Can you be great at both? And I was just so surprised at like just the hatred. I had to delete it. I was like, dude, I don't even want this because I don't want to corrupt other DJs. I don't want to have this. And then for a minute, I was trying to figure out, how is it that people can't even have this conversation? How complex is this? Like, why are they reacting this way? And then I did my research.
But this has to do with something even deeper, and that is the perception of complexity as narcissistic injury. If it's complex, it's against you. If it's complex, it's an insult. In other words, everything that is complex is perceived as a direct attack on your omnipotence, omniscience, godlike perfection, and so on and so forth. For the very simple reason that the vast majority of people cannot perceive, cannot understand complexity. For them, it's a challenge. They feel challenged by the very fact that it's complex. So they resent complexity. I resent the fact that I cannot understand 99% of what's happening around me. I don't understand physics, I don't understand politics, I don't understand nothing. And so I have two choices. I have a choice between two alternatives. I can say, listen, I don't understand politics and physics and biology and chemistry, so I must be an idiot. Which is true in the vast majority of cases. Or you can say, well, actually, it's not so complex. I mean, this is all, it's all in Wikipedia. Who needs to know all this? And in other words, reduce the world, reduce it, simplify it, spread it out, make it one-dimensional, and then you feel at home. There's no complexity anymore.
You see what I'm saying to you? But then also, I did my research in terms of understanding my identity, right? And coming to terms, being okay with me having this identity crisis. Because again, I'm not willing to be the one to follow everyone. Because as an artist, you're supposed to be celebrated for your identity, for your uniqueness, not for being like everyone else. But currently, everyone is celebrated for being similar, being the same, as Billy Corgan says here.
So if the audience rewards the lack of ingenuity, well, if you're on the sidelines and you're watching it happen, the path of independence, it's just who am I? I'm an individual. I'm going to have to forge my own path, which Nicole and Jeff and Mike all did long before they met me. It's too hard. It's actually easier just to get in the train and just ride like everybody else. So because this generation and the past couple generations have rewarded that imitation, it's a quickening to where it's like art imitates life, life imitates art, to where you can't separate anymore. And then the journalist can't separate, and the audience doesn't separate. So if you actually stand up and say, I just want to do my music, you don't like it, get the right? People are like, whoa, dude, that's so crazy. What are you doing? This is so weird. Like, can't you just get along? It's like a woman who refuses to get plastic surgery and all her friends are like this at 55. You know, if people around her don't appreciate the fact that she's aging gracefully, well, you see, it inverts itself. So a band like Smashing Pumpkins sticks out precisely because we won't go along with the inversion.
You see what I'm saying to you? So that being said, I appreciate it. Again, it's a small group. It's not about likes. It's not about subscribers. It's not about woe is me. It's not about feeling bad for me. It's not about that. It's not about. It's just I want to give you the information, and I want you to understand the significance of what we call DJing, right? So anyway, let's get ahead and do this. Let me get ahead and do this authenticity check. All right, so now I'm using my XDJ, so as you can see to the screen, I'm actually changing the BPM, right? Again, I can use sync, but again, I'm using two tracks right here. And explaining not the difficulties, but yeah, somewhat the technical difficulties in this is that yes, I'm using only 2 songs, so I'm layering tracks, so I have to be fast in removing the songs. That's number 1. And number 2, I don't have another deck. I can have one, but for the purpose of this tutorial, that's what makes it more difficult. Okay? And also you have to make sure that since I'm not using sync, my BPMs have to constantly be on target. So I'm always going to be moving them and adjusting them. Now, when it comes to actual placements, you're wondering like, okay, well, where am I placing this? How do I know where to place it? Again, because we're using Tractor, everything is on the actual waveform itself. Okay, so you can see where I'm going with this. But if I was using CDs, I would actually place the time next to the song. I would have my notes. And again, because we're doing main stage, it's not the same as being in an intimate room. When you're in an intimate room or when you're in a bigger room, you're sort of competing with the space, right? So people are coming in and out, they want to take breaks, it's hot. Or if you have another room that plays hip hop, you're competing with that room as well, okay? Dropped it. So now what I'm doing here, I'm going to introduce it nice and slowly. And here's where you actually see where the rotary mixer shines. The smoothness of the rotary really shines here, especially during this kind of sound. So what I'm doing here, I'm gonna start removing the bass. Let them get used to that bass.
That? I don't know. Sounds like guns under. Can we resolve the past? Lurking jaws, joints of time. The base to come of age in a dry place. Holes and caves.
Remember, you want to remove it
Was new black polished chrome
with the music.
to summer like liquid night. DJs took pills to stay awake and play for 7 days.
I gotta get out because I don't have another deck.
Girls, pills, grass,
Perfect.
places.
With the music. All right, I'm out. Adjust my BPM. Slowly introduce it. You don't want it too abrupt.
Can we resolve the past? Lurking jaws, joints of time.
The outros don't see daylight.
Come of age in a dry place, holes and caves. The music was new black polished chrome and came over the summer like liquid night. The DJs took pills to stay awake and play for 7 days. Girls, pills, grass. Girls,
Make the adjustments.
Brass,
You want your stuff tight.
brass, this place is hills, brass, girls,
You want it tight.
brass, girls, hills, brass, girls, hills, brass, this place is.
See, they're full on. You want to watch out with this right here because it's going to get a little loud, so you want to make sure that you're bringing it down so that it doesn't clash.
Hills, brass, this place is.
See? But you don't want to let it go. Keep it in there. Because remember, this is layering. Let it breathe. Then you sound. Don't get carried away, because you got to get out now. New song. Remember, with the music. Boom. See? With the phrase. You want to bring this one in slowly with the music phrase. And just keep it here. You don't want it to overpower, because you'll have time to increase it. Let it go. Layered. Now you're going to be careful with the clashing.
you? Feed me lies and we'll find the truth. Feel the light, numb the pain, kiss the sky and we'll make it rain. Getting close, breaking through, confidence looks good on you. Feel the light, numb the pain, kiss the sky and we'll make it rain. I do you, feed me lies and we'll find the truth. Feel the light, numb the pain, kiss the sky and we'll make it rain. Getting close, breaking through, confidence looks good on you. Feel the light, numb the pain, kiss the sky and we'll make it rain.
See, I'm having to keep adjusting this. That's also part of it as well. Because you don't see the BPMs, they're off. I can sync right now. Damn it, I want to sync. I want to sync right now. Can I sync? Should I sync? How many of you would sync right now? Be honest, put your hands up in the air. We booth riders, we don't sync.
I can feel it.
Now, you're gonna be careful with these because they're both allowed, so watch the EQs and your volume.
I can feel the power.
So here I can let it ride. I don't have to sort of be so in a rush because it's gonna come to a break. Again, what's the purpose of this now? This is now the anthem now. This is the anthem. This is where you want to just recharge everything. Throw them a bone. Cut off the lights. Now you get your next song ready. it down a little bit. This is where the Rotary mixer shines. Look at that. Smooth.
Touch me in the morning, the last thing at night. Keep my body warm, baby. You know it feels right. Take a little higher. I'm thinking it too. Tell me what you're feeling. I feel it with you. We can only understand what we are shown. How was I supposed to know our love would grow? Move a little closer. Things sure are looking up. Heal me with your loving. I need you so much. I need you so much. I need you so much.
What I did, I didn't want them to mix so much, so that's why I brought this one down a little bit. Be patient now. Be patient. Start bringing it down. Now you're bringing it to them. You're bringing it to them. Alright, so that's where we are. Johnny Fontana, Half Amazing TV. So let's get ahead and recap basically what this is all about. This is all about really like capturing the essence of the main stage, right? Providing that presence. And also, people know what you're getting. If you are a big bill on a DJ main stage, people know what you're getting. So it's not that difficult for you to play according to what the crowd is anticipating you playing. You see what I'm saying to you? It's the same thing as like Bocelli and all these Stevie Wonders, Richie, Lionel Richies, the Phil Collins of the world. When they perform, people know what they're getting. So there's rehearse. When you are, again, in the intimate rooms, it's different because now you're competing with various elements, the time, the ambiance, who's in the room, the demographic, right? Also the different competing rooms. It may not be another music room because some clubs have different, floors, so you're competing with different, but you may also be competing with the room itself. So if someone is outside in the patio because they're hot, they don't want to be inside, so they're going outside for a smoke break, and then they come back in. So again, you're competing with that as well. So it's not always about playing the music according to reading the crowd. It's the music is good. It's just, dude, like, I'm just tired. I want a smoke break. I want to go outside. Doesn't mean that you have to change your sound. But if you have people exiting and your room is emptying out, that's a sign that maybe you need to switch it up. Like I've told you the story. I don't know if I told you it before, but I was in Griffin in the Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida, and there was I was booth riding as well because I was there often, and there was a DJ from Miami playing, a local DJ, and he was playing stuff that was not for the room, right? And the door manager and the music manager came up to me and was like, "Yo, Johnny, I know you know the room. Tell old dude to switch it up because we're losing the crowd." But he was so high and he just refused, and he played that Miami stuff, the more electro stuff, instead of the more groovy, tribal, hard stuff. Because again, when you're at the Hard Rock, you have people from different places, from New York, from the up and down the East Coast, so they want to hear more of that, like that tribal stuff, and not really the Miami sound. So, but hope you learned something from this. Appreciate you taking the time and really, spending time and learning, right? It's all about the booth riding. It's all about being a student of the game. Happy holidays. Johnny Fontana, Half Amazing TV. We out.